Hey everybody, my name is Scott with the Arizona Hot Tub Factory and they call me the Spa Man. Today I'm going to show you guys how to wire a hot tub. This is a 4-wire hot tub consisting of 2 hot wires, a common and a ground, off of a 50 amp breaker coming from the sub panel. It's the wires are through liquid tight. I'm going to show you how to get the wires in the liquid tight and how to connect it both to the sub panel as well as the hot tub. Now this is a used hot tub for this homeowner. They've just redone their backyard, but they've bought what's called a Tough Spa TT 450. Now the 450 can be ran both 110 and 220. Right now it is running 110. They prefer to have it running 220 hardwire. So I'm going to show you how to do that and how to get this thing up and running, and let's get on with the video. So this is what they call a TT 450. It's about a 7-person hot tub. It has one 2-horsepower motor, and it has a pack in it that's made by a company called Balboa. Balboa allows it to be ran both 110 or 220 with this type of a setup. So we're going to go back here to what we call the sub panel, which is behind the hot tub. Now, before you touch anything, I want you to make sure the breaker is off. So the breaker is off here, but we're also going to go to the main panel and make sure the breaker that feeds the sub panel is also off also. And then we'll unscrew it right here and pull this cover off. Now this is the main panel for the backyard. So this is also would be considered a sub panel. So you'd have a main panel on your house that the main panel feeds the sub panel, which is, this is for all their pool equipment. And then what they've done when they had their pool installed, they had the contractor put in a 50 amp spa breaker. Now this does not have a GFCI. So we're going to make sure this has already been turned off. So once this is turned off, then I know that the power that feeds the spa panel will not have power, but we're going to also check that just to make sure. Okay, now that we know that our other panel, the breaker's turned off and the breaker's turned off here, we're going to pull this off, and then we're going to make sure that the electric is not on. Okay, pull that off. Now, once you've pulled the screw out of here, which actually goes to this cover, put this screw where you're not going to lose it. I always put it up on top. It's just something I've done for years. Same thing with the cover. Put the cover up on top. That way you don't lose it and it's out of the way. So inside of here, you got your wires come up. Now whoever did this job, it appears to did it correctly. They've got the 2 hot wires, right, your number here. You got number 6, you got your number 6, which is your common wire down here. And then the green wire is the ground, and that comes over here to the green, to the ground bar over here that's on the side. Now this one right here is an isolated barb, and what that is for the common wire. Okay, the breaker's already been shut off. It's a 50 amp GFCI breaker, and you got a hot wire right there, and you got another hot wire up there. Now before we actually go any further, we're going to verify that we do not have any current going to this sub panel. I use a Milwaukee tester only because it's simple. They're about $125. I'll link I'll put a link in the description underneath to show where I get them. You can get them off Amazon. I haven't seen them at Home Depot or Lowe's lately, but you can still get this particular one off Amazon. Like I said, it's about 120 bucks. It does AC, DC, it does ohms, and then I can also test to see if I've got continuity. So I really like this one. So anyways, we're going to go down to volts. Make sure the volts comes on. And then we take these 2 leads, and we're going to touch one lead right here and the other lead up here. And it'll give me a reading right here. I'm going to set the camera so that you guys can see the reading. Okay, we're going to go ahead and touch the leads together, and we have nothing. So that tells me that we do not have anything going to these 2 leads. So we're going to go ahead and show you how to wire this hot tub. Okay, the only supplies that I'm going to need for this particular job are, I'm going to need the wire, of course. I've got my black, my red, I got my green, my white, 2 hot wires, or number 6, THHN. I put it inside of 3/4 inch liquid tight. And then I have a connector for each end. I've also got 2 reduction rings that are 3/4 or 1 inch by 3/4. And what that does just keeps it so it doesn't slide out of the box. That's pretty much all I'm going to need for this one. Then I thought of one last thing. This is a liquid tight connector that will go on the end, and it has a 3/4 inch nut that screws right here, and that's probably how I'm going to connect that. Okay, so forgot about that one, but this is what they call a liquid tight connection. Okay, so I've showed you where the box is to where the hot tub is. I've showed you what I'm going to use for my material to wire this hot tub 220. And the panel I believe that I'm going to have to remove is this panel. Your topside control is right here, so it's either going to be that panel or this panel. I think it's this one. It's just from doing experience with Tough Spa TT450. So we're going to go ahead and take this panel off and we'll get to the pack. Pretty simple. Cordless drill. There should be about 16 on this particular. Some will have less, some will have more, but that's pretty much all there is to it. Okay, now that we have the panel, all the screws off, we have the Balboa VS pack on the inside. And over on this side is where the cord goes. We're going to take this cord out and then we're going to replace it and hook up a 220 system. Now this is pretty simple to do. You're going to take your, I know I'm not supposed to use a, what do you call it, a screw gun, but you know, if I did everything with a screwdriver, it'd take me forever to do these videos. Okay, that's all you got to do is take that off. Okay, you got your cord. Your cord comes in right here. I did another video a while back, but I didn't show everything. You've got your ground down here. You got your common wire right here. And you got your hot wire right there. On a 110 plug and play, you're only utilizing those 3 wires. Hence, 110. Okay, so you got your hot wires where your electric's coming in. You got your common. Okay, that's where the unused electric goes out. And then you got your ground. Follow me so far? So you're going to undo it here, here, and over here. You can use a common screwdriver for all 3. You're going to pull that out. Now, while you're getting your wiring done, great time to fill and get your hot tub ready to go. By the time the hot tub gets filled up with water, I'll have all the wiring done. Now, to undo all these wires, pretty simple. Use a right there. Just like that. That pulls those 2 wires out. Just like that. Use a common screwdriver over here for the ground. Do that, pull that out like that. Then on the back side, you have 2 Phillips. You'll undo those. You just pull the wire out just like so. That's all there is to it. Now you will take this out because you don't need that anymore. I'll show you what that is. This is only used for a 110 cord. So what it does is the cord goes in like that. You got 2 Phillips right there, and then it pinches it to hold the cord in place, and then you have just your lock ring on the back side. That's only used for a 110. Once you got all the wires removed, then you're going to go to the back panel that was on the pack. That's going to give you a schematic. You have to flip that over. There's a couple things you have to do. There's a wire right here that is this wire right here. It goes from up here to down here. You're going to have to remove that wire. It'll show you right here what wire has to be removed. Okay? Then you're going to come over here. There's a bank of switches. It's the same bank as right here. They're all red and white little switches. The last switch, you have to switch it from 110 to 220. And what it says right here, it says high amp mode. It's A10. So if you look at the arrow points up because it was in 110 mode. So this is kind of the way the switch bank sits. So you're going to go all the way over to this side. You go to A10. You're going to push that one down. Okay? So I'm going to come over here, get all these wires out of the way. It's just this last one. You push that down with your finger just like that. Follow me so far? And come over here on the wire. You're just going to jiggle it. Don't get gorilla hands and rip it out of the board. Just pull it just like so. Same thing. Just kind of wiggle it to where it comes out. Don't, just There you go. That's all you're going to do. Now, once you have this wire, you're going to go like this, and you're going to tie this in a knot so that you don't lose this wire, because you will need this wire again if you want to go back to 110. Let's say you sell the hot tub, or you put the hot tub in a place where you don't have 220 wiring. Follow me so far? So we'll be drilling a hole somewhere right around here to get it to where the box is. We'll run the electric, then we'll run it all the way around. But we're going to run it on the inside, so you're going to have to take off this panel and that panel. There's like 16 screws. Normally when I do this, I don't take the entire panel off. I take off all the panels, all the screws except for one in the corner, and then I can just tilt it sideways. And then what I'll do is I'll just turn it sideways like that, and I can pull the insulation right out, just like so. Okay, I got my hole saw in my drill, and I'm going to drill it right around here. But the drain is right here, so you never want to put a hole lower than the drain, because you don't want the water leaking on to any part of the electric. So I'm probably going to put it up about 2 or 3 inches above it, and then I'll put it, actually I'm going to go on the back side and I'll drill a hole through. It'll come through. But before you start drilling, you definitely want to take a good look on the inside. Like here's where the drain comes out, so you want to make sure you don't drill through any of that and break it. So just take kind of 30 seconds to a minute, observe everything that's there, and then make your hole. That's pretty much all there is to it. Now to do your wiring, it's pretty simple. Just push it out the hole. That's all there is to it. It's literally that simple. As far as the inside, it doesn't really matter where you lay it, because it's all this is in seal tight. So this is meant to keep all kinds of water, moisture, anything out of your electrical system. So, and you always want to run the seal tight from your box all the way over to the pack. I've had homeowners that'll run from the pack, they'll come like this, they'll come into the hot tub, and then they just run the 4 wires across the bottom. Not a good idea, folks. Not a good idea at all. For how much seal tight costs, you're already running the wire. The seal tight is cheap. So you just take the wire, just kind of put it inside of there, and just start rolling it around. Pretty simple, until you get it exactly where you want it. This stuff's still pretty stiff. It's a little cool out today. Usually when it's hot in Arizona, it's a lot easier to work with this stuff. So that's all there is to it, just like so. So see, I just got it down along the bottom, running right to here. Then you put the insulation back inside, and you what do you call it? You put your insulation back inside, and then put your side back on. Okay, once you got your seal tight with your wires pulled all the way through, I always suggest, as it's coming out of the seal tight, to leave it anywhere from 10 inches to a foot long, so that when you come through right here, you can wrap it around and go in. It's just something I do. A lot of other people don't do that. It's just something I think everybody should do it, but that's just my opinion. Okay, take this, you're gonna slide this on here just like so. Comes into here, and then it's got little barbs on there right there. So if you grab onto this with a pair of channel locks, or this part with a pair of channel locks, it'll actually almost thread itself right on. But I can almost do it with my hands. Just not hard. So you're gonna take it. And it'll just screw itself right onto it. Kind of follow me? Just like so. And this creates a really good seal. There we go. There you go. See what I'm talking about? Okay, next you're going to need the reducing rings. What the reducing rings are for is so that it doesn't pull out of the box. So the reducing rings, you got 2 of them. You put one you'll put one over here on the outside of the box, and then you'll put one on the inside of the box, and it just makes it a little stronger so that you don't pull the wires out in case somebody trips on something. You don't want that to move. Okay, so I should set that right there. I'll kind of show you how I do that. Take the rings, you put one on just like that. Okay, and I'm going to bring the camera just a little bit closer for you guys. You can see. And what you're going to do is just slide the wire in. Put your reducing ring in place. Just like so. And then get your nut ready. Sometimes you can't get everything in the same spot. Just like so, okay? So you get that, you pull that over, pull that in place, and just kind of beat it back and forth, and just like that. And it does not have to be super tight. You know, it's not like somebody's going to be pulling on this thing like crazy. You know, it's not what it's like. Just make sure you got, you know, just get it tight. Okay, follow me so far? Now we're going to go ahead and hook up the wires. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and strip the wires. Now, I have always been one that I always put the ground on first. That is just me. Cannot speak for anybody else, but I always stick the ground on first. Now, with the ground, it actually says ground right here on the side. Turn the camera a little bit. It actually has a little arrow and it says ground right there. Got to open this up just a little bit, and you're going to push the ground wire in to the ground lug. And I'll show you what the ground lug looks like in a second after I get it all tightened up. Make sure it's tight. Okay, this is your ground lug. You want to make sure that the ground is tight. I always do the ground first, just something I've always done. Okay. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and strip back these a little bit. And don't strip them back too far. I want to say ½ inch maybe a little bit more. You just need enough to get it inside of this block. And the terminal does not start right at the edge right here. It starts in right where this edge is. So you want to make sure you do get it stripped back just a little bit. I need to get a different set of strippers. These aren't sharp anymore. Use them for too many other things that have nothing to do with wiring hot tubs. Okay, so I'm going to bend over my two hot wires, get those out of the way, because I go from top to bottom. Pull the ground out of the way. Now, I always round them just so that they're going to go like that, just so that I got enough room to go right at the top. And then you're going to tighten that up. That's a Phillips screwdriver. And just get them tight so that they're snug. And then I'll go back at the end and I will tighten them up really tight. Let me turn the camera a little bit. Kind of see how I do it. I always put my hand behind the pack, so you can take your hand. If you're left-handed, right-handed, that depends on you. And you always put your hand, because if you push on this, you'll break the screws that are down there that are holding the pack in place. So my suggestion is always put your hand behind it to give it support, and then get it tight. And that's a huge pro tip. I can't tell you how many times I've come to a hot tub that was wired correctly, but they didn't get these 3 screws tight. So it wasn't getting a good connection. Therefore, the hot tub either A, wasn't working, or B, was popping the breaker. So just make sure you get them in there tight, okay? Okay, once you got all the wires connected, there's your green. Your green comes down there and goes to ground. You got the white wire. You can look right on the board. Let me put these aside. You can see right on this board, you got white, black, red. You got your hot, your common. Make sure that these are tight. You know, like I said, put your hand behind the pack just to hold it in place when you tighten it. Get them tight. Okay, now that we have the hot tub wired at the pack, let's go ahead and wire it over here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to hook up our seal tight connection. Now, since this is outside and will be with the elements, we're going to use a different connection out here. So this is what they call a seal tight. So it actually, this part will slide inside. See if I can do this. This part will slide inside of here, and then this part goes on there, and then it all seals together. You got to use a pair of channel locks to get it all to tighten down. And it basically keeps water out, hence the name Seal Tight. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to take and you're going to run your cap in. So you run your cap in like so, just like that. You're going to run your seal in, hence the name Seal Tight again, like so. And then the last part is what keeps the Seal Tight from sliding out of the connection. So that'll be like that. Go over here, you push that in there like that. Push this in there just like that. And I always come back with it a little bit, maybe 4 or 5 inches, because then I can push it in there and it'll fit in there really nice and tight. And then this part comes like that. Okay, and you can see there's a little groove in there, and what that does when it crimps down on it, it pushes this plastic thing into the grit, and then it makes it to where you can't pull it out. So we'll go like that, just about like there. And then the last piece goes in here, here. Slide those in just like so. Then you're going to slide that in as far as you can until it basically stops, just like so. Push that piece like that, and then see if I go like this, it'll screw off. So if I go like this, it'll screw down nice and tight. Then you push that, make sure that that's in there just like that. Then you just screw them all together. Sometimes you can do it by hand, sometimes you can't. This one is brand new, so I'm able to do it by hand. And basically that's what it looks like when it's done. So that is 100% to code for outside installation. Okay, sub panel. What we're gonna have to do is this is a knockout. So we're gonna knock this out so that we can wire our ground over here. Our common wire does not go to here. The common wire actually will go up to right here on the breaker. And let me pull this breaker out and I'll show you how you wire that. Okay, so to pull a breaker out, make sure it's off, and we've also shut it off at our other sub panel. And you're going to grab onto the breaker and just pull it back, and then the breaker will come out of there. Okay? Now, I wonder if I can get a little bit more wire. I don't think there is more. There's not. Okay, so what I did is I just completely removed the wire. This goes to the common bar right here. On the bottom of the breaker, you got 3 spots. Your hot goes over here on the left. Your common goes in the center. Your hot. That comes from the hot tub. And then your ground goes to the ground bar. Now this common wire over here will go to this common wire right here. The common wire does not go from here back to your hot tub. Your common wire from your source, in other words from your other sub panel or your main panel, will come into here. You'll have a common, you'll have your ground, and you'll have your 2 hot wires up here. Okay? Now, this common wire will go right over here. Okay, first things first, we'll strip up all the wire. Like always, I always do the ground first. I always do common. These big wires are always a pain in the butt to do. And then we'll do the other one just like so. Okay, pretty simple. Now we'll show you how to do the knockout. Now I'm going to use this front knockout, and I need the whole knockout. So you're just going to take a screwdriver, take whatever you got, and just hit it. Okay, first things first, let's take the rest of this knockout out. And that's all it is. It can be done in several different sizes, from down to a 1/2 inch all the way up to a 3/4. I happen to need a 3/4. Okay, then you're going to take the wires, you're going to run it up inside, and we're going to use a reduction ring, one of these, again, on the inside and the outside. And this is a 1 by 3/4. Okay, this is pretty simple. Take one reduction ring, stick it on there, and you're going to pull this out a little bit. I got to pull it out of the hot tub a little bit more. Okay, take your wires, stick your wires up through the bottom, just like so. Take the other reduction ring, put that one on the top, just like so. Come on, there we go. And then we need a nut. Hold on, you gotta go get the nut. Okay, I now have the ring on and in place right there. You can see it. Now I'm gonna hook up my ground wire right there. And then I'm gonna hook up these 3 wires to the breaker. I'm gonna put the breaker in place, put the cover on it, and fire it up. Okay, hook up the ground wire first, which is usually pretty simple. Just got to make sure you back the retaining screw out a little bit and get it in there. Come on, just like that. Make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put the breaker back inside. Sometimes I'll wire it outside, sometimes I'll wire it in. I'll show you guys how I do it like this. Do it like this. Now this is a little pro tip that I do. I will bend the wire because it's so close from the edge of this panel. Let me grab the camera. It's so close from the edge of this panel to right here, sometimes it's tough to get the wires in there. So I'll bend them at a 90-degree angle like that. And then I'll put them in, okay? So, go ahead and start with that. We can go start with the bottom. Get the bottom. And it's not hard. It's just the, where's that other screwdriver? Not a lot of room to work. And it's sometimes, it gets really tough to get the wires in the hole the way you want them. But you definitely do want them in there nice and tight. That's one. And as you go, just keep pushing the wires back so that they stay in there. They'll go up to the common wire next. Make sure that you've brought back your screws far enough so that everything does go in there really nice. Okay, sets in there just really nice. Just like so. Come on. There we go. There again, just push your wires in there. Just make sure that they get back far enough. And the last one will be the red one up at the top. Back that wire out just a little bit. Come on. Now don't back it out too far to where it falls out like I just kind of did. And sometimes you got to jiggle the wire around to get it to go in the hole so that you get a good connection. Make sure, my wires aren't exactly round. There we go. Put it in there. And I got one copper strand that's just not cooperating. Come on. There we go. There, now it's in there. And as you can see, this ain't that hard. It's not rocket science, everybody. I know I use that term a lot, but it's not, you know. Anybody, I think, can do this. If you just take your time and learn the proper way, and then make sure you push the wires back in there far enough. Okay, that's all there is to it. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. I got the red hot one at the top. I got a white one in the middle, the black one at the bottom. The breaker is still set to off. Your pigtail comes down right here, goes right there, and then hooks over to the common ground bar. And then my ground is behind all these wires, and that goes down. And then now we'll just go ahead and put the face panel back on here, and we're done with this process right here. Now that I have all this wired, before I put the faceplate back on, I'm going to go flip the other breaker behind me, and then I'm going to check to make sure that all the wiring that somebody else did to here is done correctly before I'll go ahead and turn on that breaker and energize the hot tub. Okay, so here we are at the spa sub panel. I'm going to go ahead and flip that on, and then we'll go ahead and shut this. Okay, that's done. Okay, now that you've turned on that, this does have power to it. So here's where it becomes serious. So I want to check that lug right there, and I want to check that lug up there to see if I've got 220. So you can do it one of two ways. I can use both probes, and I can put one here, one there, and it should say 220 or 240. It just depends on how much voltage is coming to this house and to this panel. Then I can put one on the ground, and I can check it to each side, and I can see if I got 120 to 130, and we'll find out. So we'll check it a couple different ways, okay? Okay, just like before, I've set the voltmeter so that I can find out how many volts I've got coming. So I'm gonna touch the two hot ones first. Here's the first one, Here's the second one. And I've got 240. Okay, I'm going to take one off and I'm going to touch the ground. I've got 120 on that one. Now I'm going to go touch the other side. I've got 120 on that one. So that tells me that everything is wired correctly. Now we can go ahead and flip this breaker and fire the hot tub. But before that, we're going to put the panel on, or put the front cover on this panel. Okay, now when you're putting this cover back on, there's two little tabs up here. Make sure you get the one on each side of this. There'll be one on the front side, one on the back side. That will hold it in place. Just take your time. Now, if you're a little leery about doing this with hot wires, then by all means, go shut off the other breaker, put this on, and then come back. I'm not too worried about it. I do lots of these. I know where not to put my fingers. And if in doubt, don't touch it. Right there. Okay. We're going to go ahead and turn on this breaker. Did you hear it go click? I heard it go click. I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to go set the camera up, and I'm going to turn it on again. You'll hear the click. So let's go ahead and shut this off. Let's go back to the other side, and we'll check that out. Okay, I've set the voltmeter right here. I'm going to go flip the breaker, and you will hear it go click. Hear it go click? That usually tells me that it's wired correctly. So, let's go ahead and take our tester, and we can test it really quick. We can go right here to the black one, right here to the red one, and we got 240. If I come over here to the ground, there's my 120, and if I go to the other hot one, there's my 120. So that tells me that everything on this is wired correctly. So let's go up to the top of the hot tub and let's fire it up. Okay, the hot tub is completely filled up with water, and it's a little bit high right now, but once it goes through all the pipes, what's going to happen is the water level is going to come down. Now, on a tough spot, I can't really say for a whole lot of other hot tubs, but the way that they have their programming set up, and usually most Balboas, is the minute you go to the top side control, it'll say PR, which means prime. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit your first button. That turns on your pumps and jets. So, we have movement. Now, I don't get all wild and start pushing buttons. I pushed it once, as you saw. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that all the jets are turned on. You can turn them one way, they'll turn off. You turn them the other way, they turn on. Go around the entire tub and make sure that all your jets are turned on. Okay? Come over here. There again. Yeah, somebody turned off all the jets. So that was the old owner. This is the brand new owner that just got this hot tub. This is the skimmer lid. And let's make sure, yeah, I see. We'll get everything turned on all the way around the hot tub. That way we don't that way we have everything bubbling. Now, the diverter valve, you can turn it one way and it turns off. See, it gives a little bit more power over there. Watch, if I turn it, now it turns it down. So I always put them in the middle when I'm starting out. This way, it shut off all those, see? Shut off all those, but all those started working. Kind of follow me? So put your diverter valve in the middle. Here's all the way, one way, middle, center, turn them like that. Okay, make sure you got all your jets on. A lot of styrofoam insulation inside of this one. So, go like that. Okay, now we've got everything rocking and rolling. Now you got air valves. Your air valves, you can turn them one way, they go on. You turn them the other way, they go off. Turning your air valve on, when you turn the air valves on, you get bubbles. Now, what it's basically doing is, it's like having a garden hose, and the garden hose is filling the hot tub. Okay? The minute you put your thumb over the edge of it, that's like turning on your air bubbles. So you can turn them on. It gives you a little bit more power, just like a garden hose. If a garden hose is just shooting, and then you put it, you get a lot more power. Same thing with air valves. Okay, now we have all that on. Let's go back around, and we will turn on the hot tub to the second speed. Okay, you're going to come over here. You're going to push the jets. A little bit more power. That's basically how you get a hot tub up and running. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell. And every time I produce a video, it'll come out. I hope this helps anybody trying to wire a 220 hot tub, get it up and running, and shows you what to do next. Now, I have not put the filter in this hot tub. If you want to learn how to set up a hot tub for the first time, there again, up in the right-hand side of the description, I will link a video that'll show you how to get your hot tub up and running for the first time after you wire it. And with that, you guys have a great day. I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day, everybody.